guys, welcome back to another Fox Girl Animator video. And today we're going to be talking about a really weird lunch, packed lunch. Then it turned into a canteen story. So here I'm going to tell you how. So this all started out as a perfectly normal day until there's this one day that just ruins it for all of us. So I'm going to tell you right here and right now. So you guys are going to probably think, what is she on about now? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I may as well tell you. So, I'm going to tell you right now. We were in the lunchroom, and it was getting pretty crazy up there. And then we got really weirded out. So then what we did was we literally we were just sitting there eating our packed lunch. I was sitting next to Wolfie. She was sitting next to me. There was these four people sitting outside the classroom that were eating their packed lunch because they were it was too loud for them because they like peace and quiet. And surprisingly, it was one of my friends, and he literally didn't care about the story. So I was literally just sitting in the lunchroom. I was eating my dinner. I was eating my lunch. And we both look at each other. We're having a little laugh and blah, and then we go outside and play. Then we come back inside and get the worst news ever. We're moving back to the canteen because we can't behave ourselves. Right, and I'm going to tell you how this looks. It's super bad, and I didn't even notice this. So, the teacher, let's call her Mrs. Dazzle. Let's call her Mrs. Dazzle. Yes, we shall call her Mrs. Dazzle. And, she comes back into her classroom with all her kids. Well, yeah, and, they look at the classroom, and she starts screaming. Me and my classroom are reading our book, and then we just hear, ah! Right? Then, when we go outside again to play, we all have to be lined up outside her room, all the packed lunch people, and, let's just tell you this. She was not happy, and, yeah, she really just wasn't happy, and I don't know what her problem was, what she was really angry about, until she told us to go back inside her room, and then we found out why. She was literally staring at the state of her classroom, and I'm going to tell you something funny right now. We all had to move back to the canteen, because if you looked at her classroom, you would be in shock as well. There were rubbish wrappers everywhere. There were two chairs that were literally flipped over, one table that was flipped over, one table that was completely moved out of where it was supposed to be, and it was a complete mess. Me and Wolfie were literally sitting nowhere close to that, and it was only a few girls that were sitting close to the tables there, so we weren't expecting anything until she came in and started screaming at us, like, blah, blah, right? I don't really care. I'm not listening to any of this because I know I'm not involved. So then what I do is me and Wolfie listen up real closely, and then we actually look at the classroom and we're like, oh my god, did we do this? And I can tell you how bad it is. I understand why she doesn't want us in her room anymore, because it was a mess. But let me tell you something. It wasn't all of us who made the mess. It was only a few of us. Well, basically, it was only 2 people that made this whole mess. Yes, we should talk about that. Only 2 people that made that mess. And then, let's say, Miss Dazzling, she comes in, and she goes with Miss Laugh, as we shall call her, Miss Laugh, and they all have a little discussion, and me and Wolfie just look at each other, we're like, And she looks at me, and I look at her, and she looks at me, and I look at her all the way when she's talking through. And then she says we have to go in. And then today is when it's the worst day. We had to go in the canteen. So yeah, it wasn't a good day. We literally were like about to cry because it was like the worst day of our lives. Like, we will always remember it as she misdazzling. Why did you have to do all of us? Literally, right, can I tell you something? There were about 30 or 40 of us, and only 2 people made the mess. And I want to tell you something. All of us had to go. All 30 or 40 of us had to go. And here, it's because of those 2 stupid children. And I'm not going to point out any names. I don't know who they were. Not trying to be offensive or anything. But props to you. We all got into trouble. And now you're sad. Well, no wonder. So, I'm kind of really confused here. I'm like, what the heck? We're back in hell again. I'm ready to be killed or shot in the forehead. Then it's like literally the worst place ever. It literally is. So, me, Wolfie, look at each other and we're like, how is this fair? Only 2 people made this out of 30 or 40 of us. How does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Does it? How? And then me and all my friends are shouting and screaming about this. And then you remember Miss Bad? Yeah, she works in the canteen. And she's like, don't be screaming. It's a canteen. And I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, shut up. Like, Jesus Christ, it's a canteen. It's always noisy. We're not making it any more noisy than it is. Like, and then I'm like, I'm here literally sitting here telling about how the canteen is already noisy. And then my friend is sitting right next to me, right? And I can't even hear what she's whispering in my ear. But I look over at her, and she's covered in yogurt. Yeah. So she had like one of these like calf like little chocolate bead thingies, and then like yogurt on the other side, and then you poured the chocolate beads in, and then she was so stupid because that was her first time eating one of those yogurts. So she literally spilled it all over her. She was literally squeezing the bottom of the yogurt packet, and it just went bursting all over her, and I was laughing my head off. And then the teacher looked, and then Miss Bad looks at me, and she's like, would you stop laughing? It's not funny. And then I'm like, it is. You just don't have a soul, and you don't find anything happy and funny. So there's one thing how I can tell you why you don't find it funny. Yeah, I did say that, but yeah, and also the canteen is the worst place. Everyone's screaming. And even though we weren't the people that got into trouble, we still had to go. And you see, remember when I was talking about those 5 people that were sitting outside the class? Just because they were sitting outside the class and there wasn't any mess, they didn't have to go. They got to sit in the classroom and eat there peacefully. And it was so quiet and lovely. And we also got to go out earlier for a packed lunch. And then I'm like, this is not fair. And we were actually supposed to go out last from everyone else instead of going first. Like, tell me, how is that fair? That is not fair. And then I'm complaining to her how it isn't fair, and she's like, would you be quiet? It's fair, because you would be making a lot of noise anyway. And I'm like, I do not care. We didn't do anything, and you're here blaming all of us, all 30 of us, that only 2 people did this. How is that fair? How? So I'm ready to go bursting. I'm ready to go, bleed! Literally go screaming in her ears that they bleed. But then I'm like, she's gonna shout at me and say I shouldn't be talking back to a teacher, but I really don't care. So then yeah, I am really like strict at this moment. I think I'm about to throw up. Like, it isn't a good state, it isn't a good time, it isn't fun, and yeah, it's not really reliable, and yeah, I'm really ready about to move out of this school right now because it literally it's not doing it for me. I can't live for another 2 years living in the worst place ever, the canteen, being shouted at my whole time there instead of having a good time. And then Miss Bad, the worst person that can be here, she has to be working in the canteen and she has to be screaming at all of us. And I'm ready to go lose it. And she says that I'm not allowed to I'm not allowed to talk back to teachers, and I'm like, well, you're not allowed to talk back to children. I mean, I don't know. Is that how it works? I really don't know how it works, but who else gets shouted at because they talk back to the teacher? And I'm like, but that makes no sense. Then why are you allowed to talk to us and we're not allowed to talk back? And they also ask for answers sometimes, and you're trying to tell her the reason, and she's like, don't talk back to your teacher. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, will you ever shut up? And then she's talking to me, and I'm like, why do you have to be so mean? We're just children. Jeez, what do you expect? Expect a lot of tables to be dumped around the place. I mean, that's what we are used for, to grow up into independent children and be very smart and intelligent, and we learn from all our mistakes as younger people since we don't know anything, literally anything. We don't even know what anything means. Well, we do know a few things, but that's only a few things. It's not like I have every word in the whole wide world, and yeah. And, so here's my really unfair story about why we had to go to the canteen and other children didn't, and how it's so unfair, and how teachers should actually actually understand what's happening around them, and hopefully someday they will, until they finally know what they are going to be doing, and less shouting at us because for something we didn't do. Me and Wolfie were literally just sitting here, literally laughing our heads off about how dumb this is, and how Wolfie even said to me, I can't live another 2 years like this. I'm going to have to move school otherwise. And then I look at her and she looks at me, and I look at her and she looks at me, and we're just having physical eye contact. And then I'm like, this is the time when I'm ready to actually escape school. Because the gate is still open. They still haven't closed it for some reason. They forgot to this time. So when it's out of PE time, we're literally practicing for sports day. And we are looking at the gate. And I tried turning around on my seat, and then the teacher spots me. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm totally not trying to do anything. And she's like, alright, look at the teacher as she's talking and trying to explain to you how you do this. And I'm like, oh my god. And it's literally the hottest day out. It could not actually be a little bit more cooler, so warm outside, I'm sweating. So yeah, there's my story of how life is unfair in school. So just take it easy if you're experiencing all of this, because it sucks. It really does. So yeah, bye guys.